Welcome, everybody. We are here at Emmanuel Lutheran Church, and I'm here with Lidixe Montoya. I'm Pastor Jamie Brisky, and I serve as pastor here at Emmanuel. And as Eau Claire churches, we are engaging in a service day today in line with our ELCA, our Acts of Service Day, God's Work, Our Hands. And so we are offering another option for people who can't get out into the community and serve. We're offering this forum here where we're going to be doing some advocacy work, talking about anti-racism and justice so that you can do this from your homes. And before we begin, Lidixe just brought to my attention, and I think it's really important, we did want to acknowledge that we are here on the grounds, sacred grounds. And we start this meeting in acknowledging the sacred tribes of Sioux and Ojibwa and all the other tribes who were here in this area, all the nations that came before us. So can we just maybe get a little of that background noise? Oh, it's coming from my phone down there. It's working well. We're hearing it come through. I can even hear it on my phone. So we're glad the live stream is working. Perfect, that's better. Okay, Lidixe, let's start with you. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and your family?
Okay, thank you. Hi, everybody. I'm Lidixe. I'm from El Salvador, in Central America. This is south of
Can we start again? Sorry, we had our mic off just for a second.
Sorry. Okay. So again, thank you, Pastor Jamie. I'm Lidixe. I'm from El Salvador, which is in Central America, that is south of Mexico. And I live with my two kids. One is 10 years old. He's a fifth grader. His name is Pavel. And my baby, who is 16 months, sorry. and his name is Andrei. And I'll be here in this area, about 5 years so far.
Okay, wonderful. So we wondered if you could tell us a little bit about your childhood and what it was like to grow up in El Salvador.
Well, I would like to ask you something.
Okay, good.
Okay, can you share with us what events in your childhood shape who you are now?
Okay, events in my childhood that shaped who I am. Oh, that's a good question. I would just have to say growing up in a small town with a really loving family and having 3 siblings and going to a good school. And just my mom stayed home with us and raised us, and just having that very safe sense of family to grow up in is really shaped who I am and my views of God and the world.
Good. Well, I can share you mine, which is a little bit different. So, I can mention like 2 or 3 events, and the biggest, or maybe the most important, is when my mom was a political prisoner during the Civil War in El Salvador, and I was 6 years old, and we were caught by the police all together, and I was in a shelter. Mm-hmm. I was kept away of her, so I understand these cages in the border for kids and how they are separated from the parents without knowing where they are or what is going to happen with them. So that shaped me a lot. And also my sister, my oldest sister, she was disappeared when I was 4 years old. She was caught by the police, the same, but we never saw her again, dead or alive. So that's a pain, still hurts. And the environment of a civil war for a child that shapes you in ways that are very particular in this culture of us.
Yeah, wow. Thank you for sharing that with us.
Yeah.
So obviously you have a lot of trauma in your story with your mother being in prison and just kind of being transient at that time. What forced you to leave El Salvador? When did you leave El Salvador?
So, as I said, I came here in 2015.
Okay.
I came with he was by that time 5 years old, with Pavel. And his his godparents gave us the opportunity to come here. They help us, and they supported us, and they provide house and food and transportation. And I came here to study. So, and that way I could have a better job, give Pavel a better life, and at the same time to keep him safe from the gangs violence, which is really big in El Salvador, and it's really bad and terrible. I can tell you stories about that, but that's another conversation maybe. And so I studied at UW Eau Claire, and I get a degree in human resources and public health. And after that, I had the opportunity and the blessing of being supported by Emmanuel and to go to seminary. So I graduated on May from Luther with a MA in Leadership and Innovation for Ministry.
Wow.
So that I came to study and to stay safe.
Yeah,
like,
wonderful.
Summarizing.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Do you think that's a similar story, similar reasons? What are other reasons that people emigrate from South America, Central America, Mexico at this time?
I think the essence or the very common core of the reasons is safety.
Yeah.
The situation there is really bad, and we are trying to keep our loved ones safe. And the journey is not easy. Maybe I'm one of the exceptions of people who have the opportunity to come, but the biggest groups that come, they don't have that, so they have to do the walking journey, and that's awful. And it's not because one day they decided, oh, I will go to the United States, I will walk all the way from Central America to Mexico and to suffer many things and to put my kids on danger. It's something worse than that, and that is safety. As I mentioned, at least for El Salvador, the gangs are terrible, and they are after kids, and so when we are parents, and we know we need to keep our children safe no matter what, and we are going to do whatever to keep them alive, like literally alive. Besides that is the economic system there. We are poor countries, we are in crisis and political, social crisis. So that's why people decide to come. And besides that, as I mentioned, maybe the people who come and they don't have the appropriate immigration documents, that's the poorest people in our country. So then they have to come, and they know it's not something legal, but they have to come. They have no choice. And I really would like you in your homes, like put yourself in their place, and your kid is maybe being threatened, and you have a good job, but you need to stay alive, and you need to go, and you know that you don't have the passport, you don't have the visa, but you need to stay alive and to be safe. So you will do whatever you need to in order to it's a way to show you the love for your kids.
Yeah, absolutely. I would do whatever it takes to keep my kids safe and my family safe.
Yeah.
And to provide a better life, so I resonate with that. And you really just can't imagine the situation that people are in, that would drive them to go through such dangers.
Yeah, and because, I don't know, I'm sure you have heard stories from people who have come in this journey, and it's awful. And it's not, I'm talking about being victims of crimes, of rape or torture, or being assaulted or robbed. And some people, when we read comments, for example, on Facebook, and they criticize, oh, why these people decide to come? Like, I think what they are fleeing from is really worse than what they are living in this journey.
Yeah, absolutely. And then to think about the detention centers that people have to face when they get to the U.S., it's just unfathomable to think about being in some of those centers that have very, very low living, conditions.
Yeah,
yes.
and being separated from your kids, from your little ones. And we recently hear awful stories about sterilizations.
Yes, sterilizations, yep, the hysterectomies.
Hysterectomies, yeah, and I'm sure there are another abuses there, and still. And these people who are in those detention centers are those who are doing like the what is expected, like because they are applying to asylum. They are not criminals, or they are not transporting drugs, or they are not, they're just doing and following the United States rules. And how the United States pays them? Well, sending them to the detention center, separating them the children. And I've heard that some children haven't been put together with the parents. So the government lost the children. Can you imagine that?
No.
Yeah, and in a different country with a different language, and where is your baby? Or
Right.
no.
They're going through the proper channels that the U.S.
Exactly,
has set up,
exactly.
and yet the health care is so low, and they're being separated and treated just very poorly.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing a little bit about your own journey and maybe what it's like for other people. I think we all need to know that and to feel that compassion for immigrants right now and for asylum seekers and those who are in need.
Yeah.
Could you tell us a little bit about the work that you did in El Salvador?
Yeah. So before I came here in 2015, I used to be, well, I'm a physician, and I used to work as a rural medical doctor in one of the poorest areas there. And I just need to clarify something.
Yes.
Physicians there are not as wealthy as they are here.
Okay.
So yeah, that's a big difference, trust me. So yeah, I worked there. It was a community. The community I was assigned to was about 3,000 people, and I had a team, a small team of 2 nurses and 3 health promoters and 1 helper. And we were very focused in prevention and health promotion. And our biggest accomplishment was to make sure that women deliver their babies at the hospital.
Okay.
Because culturally, some people don't like that. And the accessibility to hospitals is kind of not good, so we try to help them to do that and to reduce the maternal mortality.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mortality rate for women. Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. For women, when it's related with pregnancy.
Yes. Okay.
So
yep.
women can die of something else, but never ever because of a baby or because of their reproductive health. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That's such important work.
Especially in a third world country, a poor country like El Salvador is.
Right. So you did a lot of work as a physician, but it also sounds like just education.
We focus a lot on education and community organization. So we help them to organize themselves and be more aware of their health condition, not as an individual, but as a family and as a group.
Yeah.
That was very important, and it was not easy because we are fighting against culture and against poverty. So it was very good, very self-satisfying, but very hard work.
Yeah. It sounds like it.
Well, yeah.
Yes. Do you miss your work as a physician while you're here?
I do the healthcare environment and trying to help people with the healthcare or
Yeah. But you've done a lot of work here with public health and with education. So would you be willing to tell us a little bit about the wellness project that you've been working on here?
So last year in November, I started the Wellness Project, which was oriented to the Latin American people in this area. And I was trying to, because we know that the Latin American people don't have the best access to health. So, and we still need a lot of that. And so I was trying to kind of do the same of giving some promotion and prevention health education. And we have some activities and even have, I had like talkings in different churches. I came here to Emmanuel. We had guest speakers, as you can see, and someone came from Marshfield to talk about dental health. That's here at Emmanuel. And someone came from the UW Extension to talk about healthy food. And everything was in Spanish. And we share the meals with the community. And we share time prayers. And it was not only for Latin American, but it was a mix of white people and Latin Americans. So it was kind of creating that sense of community and starting to build relationships. That's in Hope Lutheran Church.
Okay, wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
it was pretty amazing to see the wellness project here at Emmanuel, and you said at other locations as well,
Yeah.
reaching out to people.
Yeah, and I want to thank again Emmanuel for, because that day, some of the members came and welcomed the participants, and that's what was very cool. So,
Yeah, we're very proud to have your work here in your ministry and be supporting you.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. So let's hear about the new ministry, Neighbor to Neighbor, Vecina a Vecina, and a little bit about what you've envisioned for this new ministry.
Okay, so now this ministry that started as a wellness project is like getting more dimensions, and now is the vecino a vecino, the neighbor to neighbor, and we are trying also to not only working with the Hispanic community, but also working with the ELCA congregations, which we know are 99% white. So we're trying to open both and coming and bring them together to create, to build bridges instead of walls, to open more tables and include everybody, because we need to reflect as church, we need to reflect our community. And even though Hispanic is a relatively small percentage, we are here. And we as Lutherans, we don't have to forget that. So how this works, I'm still hosting those healthcare conversations, but because of the pandemic, now is everything online. But also I'm participating or hosting anti-racist workshops with different churches, and I'm very excited about this. I'm planning a Romesh sale that is going to be here at Emmanuel at the parking lot, October 9th and 10th. And it's going to be to fund the first scholarship for Hispanic students at UW Eau Claire. So it's also a way to bring both communities together, and maybe for us as Lutherans, to get rid of this vision of charity when we talk about working with a different ethnicity. Instead of we giving them, we working together. And it's also a way of doing social justice, because we're going to help those who are usually forgotten by the system or denied by the system, the opportunity that we have granted for education, for example. So we are helping them to get that too. Yeah. And so I invite you, everybody, to come to the garage, to the Romesh sale, and also to donate your stuff. Yep. Whatever you have in your house that you don't use anymore, you can bring it to me. I'm going to be at Grace Lutheran Church, getting donations every Wednesday. Or you can come the day of the event at 8 a.m. here at Emmanuel to bring your stuff. And also, there is a way to donate if you cannot come or you don't have items to donate. You can donate the money directly to the Neighbor to Neighbor Scholarship at UW Eau Claire Foundation.
Okay, great. So people can donate their things to the thrift sale. They could come and work, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We need that.
We need some helpers.
We are, Neighbor to Neighbor is working with the Latinx Students Association of the UW Eau Claire, so they're going to be here, but we still need more help, more hands on work.
Yes.
Yeah.
And if people want to donate to the scholarship fund, they can just write a check, or is it online? Where do they give their money?
So it's both. They can make the check to the order of UW Eau Claire Foundation. It has to have foundation, the word, and then in the memo you write Neighbor to Neighbor Scholarship, or the code is 2718.
Okay.
2718. And you can go online to the UW Eau Claire Foundation and you will find there is a list of the different scholarships, and you go to neighbor and you donate.
Okay, so at the
Kinda easy.
UW Eau Claire Foundation,
Yep.
neighbor to neighbor.
Yep.
Okay, great. And we can have that information here at Emmanuel too, and I think the other churches can have that information
Yes,
too, so you
please.
could just call the church if you forget what you're supposed to write it to.
Yeah, you can all contact me.
Or contact
I'm going
Lidixe.
to give my email address.
Sure,
Yeah.
that'd be great. That'd be great. Wonderful. So, to me, the neighbor to neighbor program sounds a lot like the accompaniment model that the ELCA does, where we walk hand in hand, we help each other. Like you said, not a charity, but really a partnership. And I think that's really what we need in our churches, partnership, especially with diverse communities coming together.
I think so, and I think we're, as Lutherans, and I've experienced that, we are very generous, but it's time also we need to go beyond that point and create meaningful relationships. Instead of I'm helping a Mexican person, I'm helping Ofelia with her kids. I'm helping Juana or Lidixe or someone. And instead of helping them, we are knowing each other. And eventually they can help us because we are not always the ones giving. We can be the recipients of help and support and the love of God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And forming those relationships is so important, like you said, the personal relationships. That's what builds the community.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what reflects the kingdom of God, and we are called to do that on earth, or to reflect that at least at church.
Yes. Okay. What kind of diversity exists in the Latinx population here in Eau Claire? I know sometimes people just lump the whole, Latin American community together. What sort of diversity is there?
So as Hispanic, we are also, besides we are diverse compared with white people, inside our community we are also very multicultural, diverse, and it's a mix. If you can see, or we look, sometimes we don't have a determined or a specific color, because we are the mix of races. We are the mix of white, native, and black. So even someone was saying recently, well, you can have a child and that child could be white and blonde or could be black, but it's the way we are. But here specifically in Eau Claire, there are a lot of Mexican, which are maybe the 60-70% of the population, and a few Central American, a few people from Honduras and El Salvador, and even in the Mexican, they are from all over the country, but you can find a lot of people who are native in Mexico. So they have their own language and their own culture that are totally different from the other Mexicans who are not part of these nations, native nations. Yeah. So not everybody that are Hispanic are Mexican. Okay? So to the south of the United States, we are about 20 countries. Not only Mexico, don't forget that. So you can find, there are Argentinians here too. There are people from South America, but it's a small percentage.
Okay. Yeah.
So if you find someone in the street, it's not necessarily from Mexico, you can find someone from everywhere. And we share like very basic culture, but we are very flourished and very colorful, and we are very different, and we tend a lot to hug. Like, hi, Pastor Jamie, how are you? Welcome to my house. Come. Yeah. Don't be afraid of that. That's part of our culture. We are not trying to do something bad to you. It's the way we are. And our food is different. And yeah, so I think we also need to know more about our cultures and share that with the European descendants here. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And, there's diversity too in religion, I would imagine.
Most of the Hispanic are Catholics. There are a lot of evangelicals, like Pentecostal,
Yep.
and there are a lot of Adventists. Everything but Lutherans. So, and another thing is they are very zealous. Like, I'm Catholic, so I'm not going ever to any event at the Lutheran church because they will try to convert me.
Yeah.
So that's why it's kind of hard to organize our community because of that situations. Yeah.
And El Salvador has such a, strong Lutheran church there. Is that unique to El Salvador, or are there other?
We are maybe we're a minority in El Salvador because most of the country, as the whole Latin America, is Catholic. The evangelicals are rising; they're growing a lot, but in Lutheran church is still growing, but it's not as fast as the other churches. And there is a characteristic or peculiarity is that Lutheran church has been all the time very oriented to social justice in a very verbal and vocal and very visible way. So if you ever had the opportunity to go there or to know Bishop Gomez, and you will know that Lutheran church has always take the side of the oppressed and the preferential option of the poor. So that was kind of a contrast when I came here, because Lutheran churches here are amazing, are generous, are wonderful, but still in the social justice, orientation are kind of struggling a little bit. Yeah. At least compared with where I grew up, that you can hear every Sunday in the sermon talking about repression, for example, or talking about poverty, and saying the words openly without the fear of being called political. But here is more like subtle, maybe. Yeah. Yeah, but I understand it's a different culture, but I think we still need a little change.
Yes, I think, Lidixe, we need you to kind of push us to get, or push ourselves as well to really find that core of social justice that is at the heart of our faith, as you said.
Yeah, it's the social justice orientation of Christians is everywhere in the Bible, everywhere. Sometimes it's not so open, but it's, if you look for, you will find. And I forgot what I was going to say.
We need to challenge each other towards being more open with our social justice and our call for that. But I think, the neighbor-to-neighbor ministry can help us with that.
Yeah, I remember what I was going to say. Sometimes I've noticed that we fear that word, social justice, and maybe we imagine going to the protest and burn the cities, and no, we never do that. But social justice is also in the little details, in those little things, like that Ramesh said, like I've been talking about. So social justice is even in saying hi to a person in a supermarket, or even if you, something that I always ask white people, if you witness a moment of someone discriminating other, you can voice because you're privileged. So you can voice for those who are voiceless. And that's like the accompaniment we need from you guys who are white.
Yeah, white people.
So that's part of doing social justice. And that's what, I think it's not so hard to go through that way. I think we just need to, a little push.
Yeah, I think so. I think we're ready for it, and I'm excited that the Eau Claire churches are taking this step together to support this ministry and just getting to work on this. Yeah,
and I want to mention something. And I know that we are ready because my experience at Hope Lutheran Church is my family, my church family. And since the very first day we were there, Pavel and I were welcome. We were part of the family. We never felt, them and us. It was Pavel and Lidixe, and we were accepted and we were loved. And I'm sure about love and their generosity. And I want to tell you this story. For me, it's funny. Yeah. So when I was at seminary with Gary Simpson, Dr.
Yes,
Garis
yes.
is my favorite
Okay.
professor. If you are watching, hi. So he gave us a homework, and it was doing like a research about your church. So I obviously pick Hope. And part of the research was to try the demographics. And I was reading in the ELCA website, and it's like, oh, the Hope Lutheran Church is 98% white. And then other ethnicities,
Yes.
2%. I was, oh, I wonder who they are. It's 2%. Oh, it's me. That's me. Oh, oops. But it was funny, but because then I realized I was different. And I also realized that we were never treated that way. So, yeah.
Way to go, Hope, and a
Yeah.
great example of congregations making
So I know we are
connections.
ready for that social
Yeah,
justice
we're
thing.
ready.
Because that is part of doing some social justice. Welcome the others, even though they look and sound different, but just treating them like any other human being,
Yeah.
with respect and love. Yeah.
Thank you. That's great. That's wonderful. So you mentioned seminary. Tell us about your track to be a deacon and kind of what your seminary process is right now.
So as I said, I graduated on May. I already did the entrance essay and the interview. By the middle of October, I'm going to do the endorsement interview, and I had to write another essay.
Yes, so many essays, so many.
Yeah, yeah. So because my process is kind of different, because I already graduated. Usually, for what I learned, usually people do all these things during seminary, but I finished. So I'm going to do the internship after the fact.
Yes.
Yeah. And the internship is going to be the neighbor-to-neighbor ministry.
Wonderful.
Yeah, and I'm going to have a tutor.
Yeah.
Something like a tutor.
Supervising
a
pastor.
supervisor.
Yeah.
But I still don't know who she or he will be.
Okay, wonderful. So you already graduated with the studies part and doing the internship now. Okay, and then
Yeah.
you would be consecrated as a deacon in the deaconess. Yeah,
Yeah,
sure.
eventually, hopefully.
Oh, yes.
With God's help.
Absolutely.
And people's support.
Absolutely. We all question it along the way, but it works out. I swear it works
Because
out.
even the process to be in the seminary was a very
Yeah.
it was thanks to Pastor Dave Anderson and Joyce. They were the ones who were pushing me. Like they trust, and I know you guys too. Emmanuel was a big backup for me. And I know without you, I wouldn't be here. And yeah, you guys helped me to discern myself as a way of minister.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. What kind of ministry, I know you're doing neighbor to neighbor as your internship, but what kind of ministry would you imagine yourself doing in the future as a consecrated deaconess?
That's why I choose to be a deacon, because I like the service.
Yes.
And I like that, what I'm doing. I love what I'm doing. That is working with both communities. And I would love to work with the Hispanic. And also something that I really would like to do is we can accompany the kids that are in cages, or in the detention centers.
Yeah.
Because when we started the conversation, we talk
Yeah.
about that, because I know what it is to be in those shelter places without mom, without knowing where she is, how she is, and that breaks my heart, and I can only imagine, and I can only sense what these kids are feeling, and I really would love to be there for them, and I know I'm not there, I don't know them, but to be someone that at least speaks Spanish for them, and at least telling them I'm here. You cannot imagine what is that. And when we were there, we were a lot of kids, and we were put together, but there's no love, because it's people who are the adults who are there taking care of you are employees, and they don't have that connection. and there is a lot of abuses. And whenever came and give us something, something, I don't know, a pencil or whatever, you were like, wow, and you feel loved. So I really would love to do that, to do that, and I hope God gives me the opportunity to do that for others, because I needed that when I was there.
Yeah.
And I needed a lot.
Yeah, it's so important, and hopefully people can be there to help, and we can do advocacy, and hopefully we can end that soon. So
Oh
we
my,
don't have
please, please, people, help to change that.
Please, yeah.
Please.
Okay. So, is there any other things we want to tell people about how they can get involved in the Neighbor to Neighbor ministry?
So, as I said, a big part of this is to do the anti-racism workshop and education. So I want to invite all the churches to participate. I have some activities. We're going to do one today just to show you how this works. And also like discussing books and yeah, watching videos and analyzing that. And, and having, I want to create a book club that is like to read these books that are oriented to create awareness about racism and anti-racism, but are in the way of a novel, because some people like me are easier to learn or to understand what is a novel when it's a story instead of, you know, essays or very high words. So that's a way to participate. And the rummage sale that I already mentioned. And and I have a web page, a Facebook page. I go Facebook Live. It's in Spanish, but I think people can go. I do every Saturday at 7. So one Saturday is, that's the Facebook page. The name is Vecino a Vecino, and you can give it a like or follow it. I don't know how this works, but I have conversations every Saturday. One Saturday is for kids, so I read, that's me. I read like a little thing, and then we have games. And when it's for adults, is, as I mentioned before, healthcare topic, or something. Yeah, as you can see, I cannot use the camera. And also, like, it's not only about healthcare, or maybe about healthcare, but more in an integral way, and talking about the soul, body, and heart. Mm-hmm. So we also have some topics about what is going on. For example, the Neighbor to Neighbor Emergency Fund, which is for families that cannot get the federal help now for the pandemic, and things like that. They sleep heavily in peace, and things like that. So it's not only healthcare, but other things, social things that can help the community. And as I said, it's in Spanish, but if you're not uncomfortable with listening to Spanish thing, you can join. Yeah. And even you can come. Yeah. Like, I can interview you about whatever you want to say, or everything.
Awesome. Hopefully every congregation signs up to have you do some anti-racism work and starts using the resources there.
I just want to mention, I already did that with University Lutheran. So I thank you, everybody in the group, because it was a very amazing experience. And yeah, awesome. So I think it was good, you can say.
Yeah, so talk to University Lutheran if you need a good recommendation on that. Yeah. We'll be signing up very soon. Yeah. I just wanted to know too, did you want to share a message in Spanish for any of our Spanish-speaking listeners today, or?
Yeah, just something else is, I'm, as part of the ministry, I've been also doing some sermons, and I make a worship service recently, and I know for you it's daily life, and for you it's like, yeah, but for me it's like, because it's the first time and I didn't have experience, and I want to thank you, Pastor Jamie, because you helped with that service, and all the pastors that helped, Pastor Phil, Pastor Dave, Pastor Erin. So thank you for your patience and your support. And yeah, now in Spanish. Bueno, hermanos y hermanas, esta es una oportunidad para tener un ministerio por primera vez en el área de Eau Claire. Para nosotros es una forma de que nos unamos, que nos organicemos mejor y que no necesariamente significa que vamos a hacer una iglesia, sino que vamos a compartir la palabra de Dios, compartir ideas, compartir alimentos, compartir tiempo juntos. Y por favor, me pueden contactar o pueden participar en las actividades, en la venta de garage o en la página de Facebook, y van a ver que vamos a ir primero Dios creciendo y unirnos, la comunidad latina con la comunidad blanca, y así juntos luchar por nuestros derechos. Gracias.
Gracias.
Sí.
Do you have anything else you'd like to share about your own story? Otherwise, we were going to take a little bit of a break here.
I think we can just listen if there are questions or comments.
Sure. So we're going to take a few minutes break before we do the activity. And I'm going to be participating in the activity for Lidixe. As sort of your example for the day. And then you'll get a better sense of what the congregations will be doing,
What they can expect, yeah.
what you can expect, what type of questions and thought process you'd go through. But we're going to take just like 2-minute break, and if you have any questions or comments, you can type them right into the YouTube live chat, and we'll make sure to address them if we have any questions. So we'll be back in 2 minutes. Thank you all so much for listening. And thank you to Lidixe.
All right,
Amazing, amazing for you,
Thank you.
to share your story with us.
Okay.
Yeah,
Thank you.
okay.
Okay. the second part I'm going to make on you.
Okay, we're good. We're back. Okay. Thank you all for staying with us. And we did have a question online.
From Sarah Bryant. Hi, Sarah. I know who she is. So she's asking, how am I connecting with UW Clerk students? So well, I'm an alumni, and when I was still a student, I had the opportunity we had like a meeting with all the diverse students there, and I met this girl who was the president of the association, and we are kind of friends, we're friends. And also they are friends, or they have been having activities together with Jonah, so they know Pastor Dave Anderson and Joyce. So we kind of are in the same group.
Circles.
Yeah, same circle. So that's how I connected with them, and yeah.
And so you said the Latinx Student Association will be helping with the thrift sale?
Yeah, and they are also helping with advertising and getting stuff, hopefully. And in that, I want to help. I want to thank people who already have expressed their interest in donating, some already donated things. And also I have Ravi here who's going to help us with Ben. And we're having cookies that day, delicious cookies. So please come.
Yes, so please come October, is it 8th and 9th?
No, 9th,
9th and 10th, sorry.
From on 9th is Friday, so it's going to be from 9 to 3.
9 to 3.
And then on Saturday is 9 to noon.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and as I mentioned, if someone wants to donate that day, you can come at 8-ish and drop off your stuff here.
Okay, great. And we're at 3214 Gulf Road here at Emmanuel in the parking lot.
Yeah.
In a couple weeks here for the thrift sale. And that is, I think there's a fall break that week. So if you're out of school on that Friday, if you're in the Eau Claire School District, you can come to the thrift sale.
There's no excuses.
No excuses. There's no school, there's no excuses.
Yeah.
We'll see you all here. Okay,
Yeah.
great.
Okay. So
we are going to start with some of these anti-racism exercises, activities.
So this is part of what I do, or what I can do, because I really, when I have to come to any church or work with any church, I really would like to talk with the pastor first, because you guys know your flock, your congregation. So maybe choose what activity will work better for that church. So this is an anti-racist checklist for whites. You can participate from home, like answering the question, and the questions are yes or not, but we are in a shameless spot, in a shameless space. And if there is a question that you have like yes and no, we can explain why. We can skip questions if you're not comfortable with the answer or with the question. And yeah, so be prepared to be vulnerable and uncomfortable in some way. And yeah, I'm going to start this. And if you want to participate from home, do it, answer. And if you can also, like, if you want to comment on the YouTube
Yep, the YouTube live chat.
thing, you can do it, but not necessarily that you have to say your answer. You can only say, for example, how any question makes you feel.
Yeah, great. I'm just going to check in on our sound. Are we still good on our sound there? Okay, maybe move the mic just a little bit closer. There you go. Perfect. Okay, good.
Okay, let's start. So first question. Oh, you will say yes, no.
Okay.
I demonstrate knowledge and awareness of the issues of racism.
Yes.
Okay. I continually educate myself about racism and multicultural issues.
Yes.
I recognize my own limitations in doing anti-racist work.
Maybe.
Okay. Whenever you want to go
Yeah.
deeper, you can if you want. I raise issues about racism over and over, both in public and in private.
Yes.
Okay. I realize it's not about me. I avoid personalizing racial issues as they are raised in conversation.
Probably.
Yeah, I know,
Yeah.
it's hard. It's hard.
Depends on the situation.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think I know it in my mind, but sometimes it's hard not to get, to personalize things.
And be defensive.
Yeah, yeah.
I know. I can identify racism as it is happening.
Yes, sometimes.
Okay, yeah, I think, and then here I'm going to comment, I think one of the biggest issues about racism is the microaggressions, those that are intended well, but are actually very diminishing of others. And this, well, we're talking about racism here, but when we talk about race, microaggressions and discrimination, remember it's not only about race, could be gender, social class, disability, or many things. Yeah, and those are the hardest to identify and to recognize in your own sometimes, many times. Yeah. Okay, at meetings, I make sure anti-racism is part of the discussion.
Sometimes, I mean, I think I could do more work with that, especially in maybe some of our larger meetings, but I try to.
Yeah, yeah. And I just want to mention something, even though we are educating ourselves continually, we're doing these efforts, like, don't feel bad if we are not succeeding sometimes, because we are fighting against, 400 years of the system and a very deeply rooted oppressive system. So, and we are kind of starting in some way, so it's not going to be easy, but we have to do. We owe it to our ancestors, and we need to prepare the way for those who come after us.
Yeah, and I do feel like sometimes the racism is so ingrained into either our culture or our systems that it can be very hard to recognize sometimes. We're just so used to it, and for that reason, especially as a white person, it can be hard to recognize it.
Yeah, and sometimes it needs a lot of humbleness.
Yeah.
To recognize your privilege because you're white, because in some way you are giving away a little bit of that privilege, and some people are not willing to do that. However, we need to think that we are not going to lose any, like, the system makes you fear of the others and tell you that the others are going to hurt you in some way or take something from you, but that is not true. And also you cannot keep a privilege that is based on others' blood or others' lives. Yeah. Okay, let's keep working in this. I attend to group dynamics to ensure the participation of people of color. Here, I'm going to make a clarification. When we say people of color, we're talking about a color different from white, because white is also a color.
True.
So, yeah. So let's say again, of people of another color than white.
I think I am, more as a woman, pretty aware of group dynamics and the diversity that exists or does not exist. I think, sadly, in church spheres, sometimes I just notice it is a very white space. But yeah, if it is more participation, if the participants are more diverse, I do like to make sure all people are being able to share what they want to share.
And to be listened.
Yeah.
Okay, I support and validate the comments and actions of people a different color than white and other allies, but not paternalistically.
Yeah, also I try. I try, but I'm sure there are times that, the support isn't as good as it could be or in that matter.
I take a personal interest in the lives and welfare of individuals of different races.
Yes.
I use my position as a white insider to share information with people of a different color than white that they may not have access to.
I wasn't really sure about this one. I don't know that I do that. I would like to do that, but I'm not really sure if I do. Is that helpful?
Yeah, and I think I can imagine this, especially if you don't know many people of different, how can you share that other information? But I think there is a way to do it like more in general because of your position.
Right.
So, yeah.
I'll work on that one.
Yeah.
I'm going to circle it.
Okay.
Think about that.
I hold high expectations for people of different color and for white people.
Yes.
Okay. I reach out to initiate personal contact with people of different races.
I think so. I might have to look at that one. That's a maybe. Yes, I think so.
Well,
Yes. 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 I try to.
and here I was in a book discussion, and it was a white lady who said that she's married with a black man. So someone told her, oh, I really would like to become friends or something. How should I talk with him? And she was like saying hi. So it's actually, it doesn't require too much from people to be, it's just act or behave the way you will do it with other people that look like you.
Right.
It's not so hard.
Yes. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. I listen carefully so that I am more likely to understand the needs of people from marginalized groups.
Yes, I make a point to do this, and it's not maybe something that came natural, but something that through ministry and education I've tried to do, to really listen to other voices, and that's been something I'm quite trained in.
And I think you get better when you practice and practice.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's something that you cannot be learn from a book. You have to live it and be open to that experience.
Yeah.
So, I can accept leadership from people of a different color as well as from white people.
Yes.
Okay. I work side by side with people of different races on tasks, projects, and actions.
Yes.
I can be present emotionally when individuals need to express feelings about racism.
Oh, this is a hard one. I think, yes, I can be emotionally present, especially to, friends of color, when they're going through maybe like the microaggressions you talked about. But I do think it gets really hard if you're in more of white spaces, when white people are talking about their feelings about racism. That's hard,
Well, I can tell you something. Well,
but I feel like that's something we always need to keep learning and growing,
Yeah.
especially as a white ally. You have to be really cautious about your own emotions and cautious about other white
Others,
people's
yeah.
emotions.
yeah, and I understand that it's hard because for me it's hard when I hear someone that denies the white privilege, and it's like, how can you not notice? But I need to stay neutral and say, oh yeah, we can understand, we can learn together. But sometimes it's, you forget you are very human.
Right, yes.
And when you talk about microaggressions and with someone of different color talk about that, And I want to talk about this and maybe make a call to all you white people. When someone tells you that something happened, like stop making excuses. Because I've been in that I've been in situations that are not correct and that are based because of my color. And when I express that to a white person, I get answers like, oh, he was doing his job, or oh, you are the one who are not being friendly, or you are the one. So please, that's part of giving away your white privilege. Stop making excuses and listen to the other one who is expressing this and be kind of empathetic. And I know it's hard to understand because you are white, but put in the place of someone like me or someone else, and maybe you will understand better.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking about you, Evan. I'm talking in
yeah,
general.
yeah. I think that's really important, and just to believe people when they say they've experienced this. And it's bad in Eau Claire too, the white sense of, oh, we don't know what you're talking about. We don't.
That doesn't happen here.
Yeah. Oh, that was a racist incident, but they didn't really mean it. They didn't mean it like that. They didn't.
No.
So they shouldn't have any consequences.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That happens.
It was a joke.
It was just a joke. They're just kids being
They're
kids, or boys being boys, or.
Please. Oh, come on. But, well.
We could go on, but
I know,
we'll
we
move
don't
on.
have enough time. Okay, so should we
do the part two?
Yeah.
Okay, yes.
So this is part two. We are doing here just a part of this. It's not the whole. There are more questions in this exercise. So this part two is, I'm going to read in the indications. Is the following are some problem areas where individuals sometimes get stuck. These were developed specifically for white individuals. Do any of these apply to you? Okay, here. I am not clear of on the labels people of other colors prefer to use to identify themselves.
Okay. I try to stay pretty educated on that. I mean, obviously not perfect, but I think it's important to learn about how people want to be identified. It's respectful.
I can tell you about myself. I don't like when people call me Mexican.
Yeah, because
I really don't like that. Because I explained that Latin America is so big.
Right.
We are 20 countries, and you reduce Latin America to Mexico. I mean, I'm not saying that it's bad to be Mexican. I know really nice people, nice Mexican people, but I'm not Mexican. I'm Salvadorian. So that's, and the other is like, we are American too. So me as a Salvadorian, someone from Argentina, someone from Colombia, someone from Mexico, we are American too. So when some people say like, oh, we Americans and you Mexican, no, we all are together. We all are American. So yeah, America is great because it's a wonderful continent, right?
Yeah, I heard it's a whole continent. Did you know?
Did you know that?
Like there's South America and North America and Central America. Oh my goodness, we're all Americans?
Yeah, you will be surprised. Okay, so when people of a different color point out racism as it is happening, I feel personally attacked.
I think sometimes. I mean, like, especially with church stuff, our church is really having to examine itself because we have racism, and it's a very hard conversation to have, and you want to be, no, not my church, not me, but we have to step back.
And here I would like to add, we as church, as Christians, as Lutheran, we need to check what has been church role in all this oppression in general and specifically racism. And we will be hurt to know the reality, to know the real story. Okay, let's keep moving. I rely on people of a different color for education about my own and institutional racism.
Yeah, I try to do my own white people work. I try to really do my own work on that, but I know that happens to me sometimes. I fall into that trap, but mostly I try not to. Yeah.
I experienced that. I know that if you, Pastor Jamie, talk about racism, you will be more better listened or better understood, and I'm not talking about accent, from your peers that if I am saying something. Because of what I've mentioned before, people will start making excuses.
Yeah.
Yeah, and something that I've noticed also, like, if I'm by myself in a public space, people will treat me in a different way if I'm with a white person. Yeah, but yeah. Well, let's go to, I wait for people of color to raise white people's awareness.
No, because, I think as a church we have been trying to have pastors bring up some of these issues. So I've been trying to, do that and live into that call. But we still rely on people of color, I think, to share their wisdom. But also as white people, we have to start pointing out racism and not waiting for people of color to do all that work.
Yeah, and not doing it like in a not romanticizing it, but being more
direct.
Yeah,
You talked about that earlier, how people need to start naming things and talking more directly.
Yeah, instead of, so the last one, and this is, I know fewer than 5 individual peers of different color intimately. Example, adults, not children or family members or employees or co-workers.
No, I have a lot of friends of color, but now I'm going to be like the other trap where it's like, oh, I have so many friends. But I do think it's hard in Eau Claire as opposed to other places I've lived, like college and other more diverse places, I guess, and just with being quarantined, I don't feel like I have many friends at all, so I don't know a lot of people intimately right now.
Well, let's blame the quarantine.
Darn it.
Yeah.
So that's a no, maybe yes.
Okay, working on.
Yes.
Work in progress.
Work in progress, yeah.
Okay, that was the last one.
Okay.
So should we continue with the congregation?
Yeah, let's continue with the congregation.
Okay, so I have, this is a reflective audit tool, and it's more not individual, but more as a group and as congregation. And it's only 5 questions. Okay, so, and I'm not questioning your work as a leader.
Oh, no,
It's
yeah.
just,
Yep.
okay. Does your worship community reflect the demographics of your neighborhood?
Partially yes and partially no. Here at Emmanuel, yeah, I think we have a small percentage of people of color, small but important, groups of people that worship here that are not white. I think it would be nice to have more diversity. I think we all know that. But probably mostly represents the community. I don't know, we'd have to do a little deeper research on that maybe. Yeah, but I know we are mostly white congregations in the ELCA, and that is not representative of our communities and state.
Yeah, and just to add to that, like, Eau Claire is changing. The whole United States are changing. So I know we, as Lutheran churches, started in a 100% white community, but now that's different. And we still need to work in that to change our inside.
Yeah,
But
we need to grow in that.
Yeah.
We do.
Okay, does staff and leadership reflect demographics or worship community or neighbor? of neighborhood of who you long to be?
I think ideally we would have more staff and leadership representing people of color. We do work pretty hard to have equal genders, to have some LGBT voices on our leadership teams. So we're working at that, but I think we could do better.
Yeah, yeah. And, well, yeah. Next, what are the visual images of Jesus?
Our
In the
visual
space.
images of Jesus, you can see we don't really have any picture type images of Jesus, so we don't have any white Jesus here
Okay,
at
you know what I was
Emmanuel.
going to ask
I
that.
knew you were going to ask that. There are no white Jesus.
Because that was the next question. So
Okay.
the images of Jesus that you have is the traditional blondie, blue-eyed guy in white, or is
Yeah.
like the real one who will be shorter and dark hair and dark skin and
Yeah.
brown eyes?
We try to make a point, like in all our children's books and different images around here, to have more accurate representations of
Yeah.
Jesus being more Middle Eastern. And thankfully, a lot of our publishing companies have done a lot of good work on that lately with like Spark and Story Bible and all those types of new resources out there through the ELCA. Much better.
Well,
What
yeah.
do you see when you go into congregations? Do you see still a lot of white Jesus?
So,
Or
yeah. And also, I've seen dark Jesus, but sometimes it's like in that hallway, like not like when you get into a church, the first image you have is usually a blondie Jesus, and the dark one is like hiding somewhere.
off
So
to
let's
the
make
side.
let's do that change in our churches,
Switch
or
it
in
out.
switching. Let's switch.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
that would be great.
It's a way of, you know. Okay, how does the congregation community learn together on race, access, diversity, and power?
We like to do book studies, forums, those types of things, especially pre-COVID, having speakers come in and share with people. I know, it stinks. But yeah, we've done a lot. We did Dear Church by Lenny Duncan last year, and several other racial justice and just black literature type things that we've incorporated here, because that's important. It's very important work. But people of Emmanuel, they really appreciate doing the anti-racism work and social
I agree.
justice.
I totally agree.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Now, the last one. Could these phrases appear in a sermon? White supremacy, Black Lives Matter, intersectionality, transgender LGBTQAI, DACA, or the recent events and names like George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, and Jacob?
Yeah, I think so. People would expect to hear that in a sermon here. And we last year went through the Reconciling Works process to welcome LGBTQ Christians to our congregation. And that has you have really hard conversations as a congregation. So that prepared us not only for work in terms of sexual orientation and gender issues, but also racial justice type conversations and anti-racism stuff. So I think that really got us just to open up and be able to talk about some of these things head on and name them, and write our pronouns on our name tags and have some of those important conversations. So it's still a work in progress, but
I know.
they wouldn't be surprised to hear any of those in a sermon.
Good, and me as a diverse person, I don't know how to say that, I appreciate your work, the work you're doing and the work that the congregation is doing. And I like that you are not afraid of offending someone, because for some reason that I don't understand, some people get offended when these things are mentioned, not only in a sermon, but in any conversation. I don't know, but yeah, thank you. Yeah, so these were the questions I have for you.
They're hard. They're thoughtful questions,
Yeah.
but I think, if you did them as an individual, but also as a congregation, you would learn so much.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah,
think
I
every congregation should have Lidixe lead you in this.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you're going to learn a lot. Yeah, it's going to be challenging, but
Yeah.
you grow.
And it's in a caring environment.
Yeah.
We are friends. We are brothers and sisters. And
Yes.
this is about learning and not about judging.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I just want to say thank you for your
thank
work.
you.
We are so blessed to have you in the Northwest End of Wisconsin, but specifically here in Eau Claire. And we're just really excited for the Neighbor to Neighbor ministry that you're doing, and just you sharing your story and you helping us. Thank you. Thank you from all of us churches.
No, thank you for willing to listen to me and to be patient with my stories and my choppy English. So, yeah, and I'm trying to do a little bit
Yeah.
of what I've learned.
Yeah, and I'm excited. You'll be leading the virtual worship for our Fall Ministries Pastors Retreat tonight. Is that tonight or tomorrow night?
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
Night, yeah.
So I'll be looking forward to hearing your sermon finished and hearing myself sing in Spanish.
Oh, that's
That was
wonderful.
fun.
Yeah.
That was fun to put together. And just reminding everyone again to come out to the thrift sale on the 9th and 10th here at Emmanuel in the parking lot, and maybe just say hi if you don't if you don't have anything
And have
to buy.
cookies if you don't
There'll
want
be
to
cookies
buy,
here,
because
so-
you have everything at your home, but you can have cookies.
Yeah, come say hi to Lidixe, come see the students who are helping out, and just try to get to know your neighbors a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. That's all we have for today.
Yeah.
And again, reach out to Lidixe if you have any more questions about the ministry. Did you want to share your email or anything, or should we just have that available? We can put
I think we can write it as a comment in
Yeah. Okay, great.
the YouTube.
Yep. We'll share the
Live,
email in the comments of the YouTube if you want to reach out to her personally. Otherwise, just get your pastor to call her and set something up for your church.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. And thank you to Alyssa for helping
Thank
us with
you.
sound and video back there.
And thank you, Robbie, for being here.
And thank you, Robbie. We had
for
one
being the audience.
in-person audience member. Thank you. Okay.
And the cookies.